The room was cold. Too cold. Metal walls. Harsh white lights. The smell of blood and burnt wires filled the air. Alexa hung from chains fixed to the wall. Her arms trembled. Her back was covered with bruises. Her silver-blue skin had lost its glow. She didn't know what day it was. She had stopped counting after the third time they broke her ribs. The aliens called her Experiment 7A. They didn't use her name. They didn't speak to her like she was alive. To them, she was a test subject, a failed hybrid. Each day the lab doors slid open and 3 scientists walked in. Cold, slow, careful. They carried machines. They used them to shock her, cut her, drain her blood. One of them always smiled while doing it. Alexa had screamed. Then she had begged. Then she had gone quiet. Now she just waited. She didn't know why they had taken her. She only remembered the night it happened. Bright lights above her bed, her mother's scream, the needle in her neck. Then nothing. Then pain. Then this place. Anna. The 7th day she heard something new. A bang, not like the doors. Louder. Rougher, like something had broken. Then yelling. Shouts. Blasters. Alarms began to howl. Red lights flashing across the ceiling. One of the guards ran past her door, his body on fire. For the first time in a week, she lifted her head. Something was happening. Something real. Then smoke filled the hallway. A figure stepped through it. Not an alien, a human tall, dirty, armor cracked and blackened. His hair was wild, eyes full of fury. He kicked the door open, saw her, and froze. Alexa's lips moved, but no sound came. The man dropped his gun. "You're real," he whispered. He stepped closer, eyes wide. Her arms gave out. She fell against the chains with a sharp cry. He rushed forward and caught her. "Easy. Easy now," he said. "I'm getting you out." She tried to speak. Her throat burned. He looked at the collar around her neck, smashed it with the back of his blaster, then the chains. She collapsed into his arms. "Can you walk?" he asked. She blinked slowly. "I don't know." "Then I'll carry you." He picked her up like she weighed nothing. As they ran through the hallways, the alarms grew louder. The walls shook. The man tapped something on his wrist. A small device beeped and began to glow red. Alexa looked at it. He noticed her fear and gave her a crooked smile. "Don't worry. Just a little surprise. For our hosts." They reached a door at the end of the hallway. Locked. The man growled and kicked it twice. Still nothing. He took out a grenade, slapped it onto the control panel, and pulled her close. Boom! The door flew open. Smoke and fire behind them. Cold wind in front of them. They stepped out into open air, onto a platform hanging above a dark canyon. His ship waited at the edge. He ran for it. Behind them, shadows moved. Alien guards with long rifles appeared from the smoke. They shouted something in a strange language. Alexa flinched. The man didn't stop. He turned, aimed one arm and fired back with sharp, loud shots. Guards fell. He kept running. Inside the ship, the lights flickered to life. He placed her on a padded bench gently. "Stay here," he said. She grabbed his arm weakly. Who are you?" He looked at her for a long second. Jace Morrow. Then he smiled. "I'm the guy who just wrecked a science lab to find you." He ran to the cockpit. The engines roared. The platform exploded just as the ship lifted off. Fire lit up the sky. Alexa lay back, eyes wide, breath shaking. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know why he came. But for the first time in days, she was not alone. The ship flew fast through space, leaving behind smoke, fire, and screams. Inside, everything was shaking. The lights flickered. Sparks popped from broken wires. Metal groaned like it wanted to fall apart. But Jace Morrow didn't slow down. He sat at the pilot controls, one hand bleeding, the other gripping the throttle. Behind him, in the back cabin, The girl he had just rescued lay wrapped in a blanket, weak, silent, watching. Alexa. She didn't understand why he came. She didn't know this human, but he had burst into her nightmare like fire and pulled her out. Where? Are we going? She whispered. Jace didn't turn around. Somewhere they can't follow, he replied. You need rest. I don't sleep. You will tonight. A few minutes later, the ship landed hard on a small moon, not a colony, not a city, just a broken junkyard outpost abandoned long ago. Metal towers leaned sideways. Wires hung like vines. Machines lay dead in the dirt. Jace carried her inside a quiet bunker. The walls hummed with old power. He laid her down on a padded bench and pulled a canteen from his belt. Drink, he said. She hesitated. It's clean, he added. No, poison. Just water, I swear. She took a sip. Then another. It was the first real water she'd had in days. Why did you come for me? She asked softly. Jace sat on the floor beside her. He looked tired, worn, but his eyes were still sharp. I didn't know you'd still be alive, he admitted. I almost wasn't. I know, he paused, then added. I heard rumors that the Grack scientists had someone, hybrid, female, suffering. He looked down, and I remembered what they did during the war. Alexa blinked. You were a soldier? Jace nodded once. Recon, we saw things, what they did to prisoners, to kids. They called it research. I called it evil. Why me? Because this time I had a name, a location, a chance to do something right. Silence passed between them. Then Alexa said, They told me I was a mistake. They lied. They said my DNA was broken. They were scared of it. She turned her head toward him. Her voice was barely a whisper. I think I'm dying. Jace stood quickly. No, not today. He opened a metal case near the wall and pulled out old medical tools. A small scanner. A portable gene stabilizer. Lie still, he said. The scanner passed over her body, flashing red, then blue. He frowned. Your structure's shifting. Cells out of sync. Not natural. She coughed weakly. Because I'm not natural. Jace looked her in the eyes. You're alive. That's enough for me. He used a sharp injector to push stabilizer fluid into her arm. She gasped. Then sighed. Her skin stopped glowing. Her pulse slowed. Her eyes cleared. It wasn't a cure, but it bought time. Alexa stared at him. You're not like other humans. Jace smirked. That's what my last commander said, right before he kicked me out. Why? I broke orders to save someone. He didn't like that. Did they survive? Jace's smile faded. No. She looked at the ceiling, voice shaking. They hurt me every day, told me I'd never be free. Jace stood and walked to the door. They were wrong. He placed a small device on the wall. It beeped. What is that? She asked. A shield. Nothing gets in or out now. We're safe, for now. He sat again, closer this time. You should sleep. I'm afraid, she whispered. Jace nodded. Me too. She looked at him surprised. Really? Only fools aren't afraid. I'm reckless, not stupid. Alexa blinked. Then, just barely, smiled. Jace leaned his head back against the wall and closed his eyes. I'm not a hero, he said softly. I just couldn't leave you there. Alexa watched him for a long time. This strange, scarred, stubborn human, who came through fire, who held her without fear, who looked at her like she wasn't broken. And for the first time in a long time, she closed her eyes and slept. When Alexa woke, her hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else. The bunker was quiet. The only sound was the low hum of old machines and the slow buzz of the shield generator Jace had activated. He sat nearby, half asleep in a rusted chair. a blaster across his lap and a knife still in his boot. The Alexa sat up slowly. Her skin, usually pale silver blue, was glowing again, but this time, not weak. It shimmered with a strange light, almost alive. Her fingertips left faint trails in the air when she moved. She touched her chest. Her heart was beating too fast, too strong. Jace stirred. "You okay?" "I feel strange." He stood and walked over. "Let me scan you again." He used the portable scanner, moving it across her arms, her spine, her neck. Lines of glowing code appeared on the screen. Jace frowned. "This doesn't make sense." "What?" "Your cells are changing, not dying, evolving." She blinked. "Is that bad?" "I don't know yet." He flipped the scanner screen toward her. "This was inside your spinal code, buried under encryption, some kind of dormant data strand. It's waking up." The Alexa looked at her hands. "They said I was broken." Jace shook his head. "No, you were locked, and now your body is opening the door." "To what?" "That's what I'm afraid to find out." Suddenly a sharp alarm beeped. The shield had detected motion outside the perimeter. Jace stood fast. "Someone's here." He ran to the console. The Alexa tried to follow, but her legs gave out. He caught her. "Easy." "Who is it?" she asked. He checked the screen, a single dot, then 2 more, then 6, 12. Jace swore under his breath. "Scanners show heat signatures. Multiple. Not Grack scientists, hunters." The Alexa felt her breath catch. "They tracked me." Jace looked outside through a cracked window. Dark figures moved between metal wrecks, silent, fast, armed. "I set the wormhole. Bomb to wipe our trail," he said. "How did they find us?" The Alexa's eyes widened. "My body. It's emitting something. An energy they planted inside me. A signal." Jace stared at her. "They made you a beacon." He grabbed gear from a locker. Extra ammo, grenades, a small plasma torch. Then he pulled a strange device from his pocket. A round metal disc with a red light blinking. The Alexa tilted her head. "What is that?" "A failsafe." "Failsafe for what?" "In case this place becomes a tomb." He helped her into a side room, a small cargo pod with a manual lock and oxygen tank. "If they get past me, seal yourself inside. Don't open it for anything but this voice." He handed her a small speaker. It had his voice recorded. "Open the door. It's me." She clutched it tightly. "You're not going to leave me, right?" Jace met her eyes. "I didn't burn half a lab and run through enemy fire just to give up now." He pulled out a knife and smiled. "Let's see how many of these bastards I can make regret showing up." Outside, the hunters moved in formation. They wore bone-colored armor, faces hidden, weapons glowing blue. They were not here to negotiate. They were here to reclaim property. Inside the bunker, Jace set traps, laser trip mines, pressure grenades, and oil flames. When the first door opened, he fired first. The hallway turned to chaos. Blasts echoed through the chamber. Sparks rained from the ceiling. In the storage room, the Alexa's body trembled again. Her fingers lit up. And then, a surge of power burst from her palms. The wall glowed with symbols, strange writing. A language she had never seen but somehow understood. She stepped out, glowing brighter now, skin etched with moving light. The nearest hunter turned, saw her, and stopped. Not in fear, in recognition, he fell to one knee. "Project 7A, he said in a deep robotic voice. "You are not permitted to awaken. Return to dormancy." The Alexa stepped forward. "I'm not going back." Her hands rose. The air cracked. Energy exploded from her like a wave. The hunter was thrown across the yard, armor melting, weapon shattering. Jace peeked out, stunned. He saw her standing in the doorway. A girl once tortured, now glowing. Alive. Dangerous. She looked at him and said one word, "Run." Jace shook his head. "Not without you." She smiled. Then her body collapsed into his arms. He carried her to the escape pod, closed the hatch, locked it. The hunters outside regrouped, but the ship's core hummed, and suddenly, boom, the entire base erupted behind them in a fireball of metal and flame. The pod floated into space, silent. Inside, Thalexa slept, her hands still glowing. Jace held her, whispering, "You're not a weapon, you're not broken, you're something they'll never control again." The escape pod floated through silent space, no engines, no weapons, just metal and hope. Inside, the lights were dim, but something brighter glowed, Thalexa's hands. She lay on the bench, asleep but restless. Her fingers twitched, her breath was fast. The veins under her skin shimmered faintly with gold. She was dreaming, but it wasn't a dream. It was a memory. She was 5 years old, running through a flower field on a warm planet. Her mother laughed nearby. Her father waved from the house. She remembered the wind, the smell of the red blossoms, the warmth of home. Then, shadows fell across the sky. Black ships, aliens in gray armor, screams, a hand grabbing her from behind. Her mother yelling, "A needle." Then, everything burned. She gasped awake. Sweat ran down her face. Her hands shook. "Easy," a voice said softly. It was Jace. He sat beside her, holding a small packet of water and a protein bar. "You passed out for 9 hours. I thought you were crashing." She looked at her glowing palms. I think I remembered who I was, before the lab." Jace leaned closer. "Tell me." She blinked, eyes glassy. "I had a family. They weren't rich, not soldiers, just kind, simple people." She paused. "They're probably gone now." Jace didn't speak, because he knew what that pain felt like. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded cloth. Inside was a small picture, worn, faded, a woman holding a baby. Jace looked at it, then handed it to her. "My sister," he said. "She had a daughter. I held that kid once, then the war came." Thalexa looked at the picture carefully. "You lost her?" He nodded. "They didn't make it out. I didn't get there in time." A heavy silence filled the pod. 2 survivors. 2 people who had seen too much. Thalexa wiped her eyes. "They made me think I was nothing. A failed project, a broken code." Jace looked at her. "What do you believe now?" She took a deep breath. "I think they were afraid of me, of what I could become. Why? I don't know yet. But it's inside me." She placed her glowing hand over her chest. "Something they built, or maybe something they couldn't control." The pod shook slightly. A warning beep echoed. Jace stood and checked the console. "We're drifting toward a trade lane. We need fuel or a tow. The pod won't last another day." Thalexa looked at the scanner. "Won't someone track us?" "They already did," Jace said. "But I sent a fake signal pulse back to the wreck. If anyone's hunting, they'll find fire and dust." She smiled faintly. "You're smarter than you look." Jace smirked. "You're stronger than you think." Later, as they waited for power to recharge, Thalexa stood in the middle of the pod, her feet bare on the metal floor. She closed her eyes and raised her hand. The air shimmered. Gold light traced symbols into the wall. Not just shapes. Language. Jace watched in silence. "What is that?" he asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "But my hands do." She traced another line. A door on the pod's side clicked, then slid open, revealing a hidden panel full of backup batteries and old emergency weapons. Jace stared. "How did you do that?" Thalexa stepped back, stunned. "I didn't know it would work." He stepped forward, picking up a charged power cell. "That wasn't just luck." She sat down, thinking hard. "I think the lab didn't create me. I think they found me." "Found you?" "Yes. Maybe I was born this way. Maybe part of me was already more." Jace nodded slowly. They saw something they didn't understand, so they locked it up, tried to cut it apart. She looked at him, voice steady, and they failed. That night, Jace slept lightly. Alexa sat beside the small window watching the stars move. She whispered to herself, "I was never broken. I was unfinished." Her hand glowed brighter, then dimmed. In the final hours of darkness, a signal pinged on the pod's scanner. Jace sat up. Ship approaching, not hostile. Alexa walked beside him. The screen showed a small cargo freighter broadcasting a neutral beacon. Jace grinned. "Looks like our ride is here." He looked at her. "You ready to face whatever's next?" Alexa placed her hand on the glass and said clearly, "I remember the pain, but now, I remember who I am." The freighter's docking doors hissed open. Jace stepped out first, blaster ready, eyes sharp. He didn't trust easily, especially now. Behind him, Alexa followed slowly. Her steps were lighter, more balanced. Her skin still glowed faintly, under the surface like starlight trying to escape. The ship was small, old. Its captain, a four-eyed alien named Lorak, raised his hands to show peace. "You called for pickup?" he asked. "I don't deal in trouble." Jace narrowed his eyes. "We're just passing through." Lorak's gaze fell on Alexa. He froze for a second too long, then forced a smile. "Right. Passing through." They didn't stay long, just enough to rest, refuel, and patch up a few wires in the pod's systems. But the moment Alexa stepped near the comms room, she felt it, a pulse. Faint, wrong. She stopped walking. Her skin prickled. "What is it?" Jace asked. She placed her hand on the wall. "It's inside. Something. Listening." Jace raised his blaster, kicked the door open. Inside, a small drone buzzed silently, tucked behind the power relay. It had a red blinking eye. Alexa gasped. "They tracked me again," Jace swore. "They planted it on the freighter, maybe even in Lorak's own systems." The red eye blinked faster. Then it stopped. Then it glowed bright blue. "Move!" Jace shouted. They dove as the drone exploded, tearing through half the room with a sonic pulse. The ship rocked. Lights flashed red. Lorak's voice echoed over the intercom. "Multiple ships incoming. Drop pods on the hull." Jace grabbed Alexa's arm. "We need to go. Now." They ran back to the escape pod, but the halls were already shaking. Hunters had arrived. 6 of them dropped into the corridor. Long limbs, sharp armor, glowing blue weapons, the same ones who came to the bunker. But now, they were upgraded, faster, smarter, more dangerous. Jace opened fire first, driving the closest back. With a plasma burst, "Keep moving," he shouted. Alexa ran behind him but stopped when she saw a child hiding in a side hall, a small alien girl, crying, frozen. One of the hunters aimed at the child. Alexa's eyes went wide. Her hands rose, and the air exploded. A wave of golden energy blasted from her chest, slamming into the hunter and sending it through the wall, like a missile. The child blinked. Alexa knelt beside her. "Run. Hide. Now." The child nodded and vanished into a vent. Jace turned. He had seen the blast. It left a trail, like lightning had passed through the corridor. Alexa's body was glowing, brighter now. Her eyes weren't just bright. They were lit from inside. Jace said, "You okay?" She stood slowly. I'm done hiding." More hunters rushed in. One threw an energy net. Alexa caught it midair and crushed it with one hand. Another fired a stun dart. She didn't dodge. It hit her. She didn't fall. She absorbed it. Jace fired beside her, taking down 2 more. Then Alexa stepped forward. Her hands moved like water. Energy flowed out, shaping into shields, then into a sword of pure light. She struck once, and the corridor fell silent. All 6 hunters were down. Jace lowered his weapon. That was... Alexa turned toward him. "I don't think I was made to be a weapon," she said. "Then what?" She looked around. To protect. The rest of the freighter crew helped them escape through an old shuttle hatch. Lorak apologized for the tracker. I didn't know, he said. Please believe me. Jace didn't answer, but the Lexa did. We believe you, she said. But they won't stop now. Lorak looked worried. Who are they? She answered, quietly. The core. Back inside their pod, floating once again between systems, Jace sat by the control panel. He looked at her. Glowing hands, calm breath, sharper eyes. You held back before, didn't you? He asked. She nodded. I was afraid of what I'd become. And now? She looked out the window. I think I'm just beginning to understand what I am. Jace leaned back. You know they'll keep coming. Stronger. Smarter. I know. They'll bring everything they have to take you back, she smiled softly. Then let them come. The stars around them began to vanish, not one by one, all at once. From the escape pod's front window, Jace stared at the black shape swallowing the sky. It was not a ship. It was a monument, a floating fortress the size of a small moon, made of metal, bone, and cold silence. Lights flickered across its surface in patterns too perfect, too fast to be organic. It didn't drift. It waited. Jace whispered the name like a curse. The core. Beside him, Thalexa stood very still. Her breath, shallow, her hands glowing brighter than ever. I've seen that place, she said softly. Not in life. In my dreams. That's where I was born. Jace turned to her. What is it? A living machine. An empire that thinks in code. They made me. Then called me a failure. Now, they want me erased. The pod shook violently. Beam of light scanned across space, probing, searching. Then a voice filled the pod. But it wasn't sound. It was inside their minds. Thalexa 7A. Subject outside containment. Threat index rising. Preparing deletion. Jace clutched his skull, eyes squeezed shut, but Thalexa stood tall, her glow flared. You used me, she said aloud. You locked me in a lab. You broke me. You were not fit. You were not ready. I am now. The core ship responded by opening a side gate, a perfect black circle splitting into jagged pieces. From it a single figure flew out, shaped like a human, but not, made of shining armor, red eyes, and blades for arms. A core enforcer. Time to run, Jace said, grabbing the controls. The pod blasted away, but the enforcer moved faster than light. It slammed into the pod's side, tearing through the hull. Jace was thrown backward. Sparks flew. Thalexa fell to one knee. The enforcer floated in, silent, emotionless. You were never meant to grow, it said. Only obey. Thalexa stood. I'm not yours. You are a line of failed code. Then watch what I become. She raised her hand and the air shattered. A blast of golden energy pushed the enforcer back, but it didn't fall. It extended its blades. Charged. Jace rolled over, raised his blaster, and fired again and again. The shots hit, but the armor didn't. Crack, the enforcer struck. Jace was slammed into the wall, breathless. Jace, Thalexa shouted. She rushed forward, hands glowing, eyes burning. She blocked the next strike with her bare arm. Her skin cracked, but healed instantly. The enforcer lifted her into the air, tight grip on her throat. You are not alive. You are a program. Her eyes met his. Then delete me. She pulsed and exploded. The pod's walls bent. Metal screamed. A shock wave of white fire blasted out, throwing the enforcer into space. Thalexa fell, gasping. Jace crawled to her, coughing. You still with me? She looked at him. Barely. I can stop them, she whispered. I just need to reach the ship. Are you crazy? That thing will kill you. She shook her head. It won't expect me to speak in its language. Remember now, the virus they left inside me, I can use it. Jace paused. You're saying you can hack the core? From the inside. He looked at the cracked walls, the flickering lights, the dead engines, and nodded. Then we're going. In. Jace rerouted the pod's power, a final boost, enough for one jump. The Enforcer returned, damaged but not defeated. It flew behind them like a shadow of death. But the pod turned, aimed, and fired its last thruster, straight into the core ship. The gate opened. They were swallowed in darkness. Inside, the core was silent. The walls were smooth, cold, endless. Lights moved like stars inside glass. No air, no life, only thought. Alexa stepped forward. Each step she took, the walls responded, glowing symbols following her. Jace followed close, blaster shaking. She reached a central chamber, a throne of wires. Brain without a face. The core's voice returned. You are a mistake. She stepped closer. No, I'm your lesson. She placed both hands on the glowing orb. Golden code spilled from her fingers into the core's mind. It tried to stop her. But her power was growing, not from hate, not from programming, from freedom. I choose who I am, she said. Not you. The core screamed. Its lights flickered. Its code shattered all across the galaxy. Labs went dark. Files deleted. Programs wiped. Hybrid children hidden in cryotubes. Woke up and breathed. For the first time, Jace pulled her back. You did it. She fell into his arms. Tired, but alive. Let's go home, he whispered. Behind them, the core ship began to collapse. For the first time in 1,000 years, the machine feared its own creation. The sky above Mirren Station was painted in soft orange light. The battle was over. The core was gone. No alarms, no fire, no more pain, just peace. The ship landed slowly on the green hilltop outside the rebuilt colony. Inside, Jace stood at the hatch, looking out. His jacket was torn. His body ached. But his eyes were steady. Behind him, Alexa stepped out into the sunlight. The light kissed her skin. She didn't flinch. She didn't hide. Children playing nearby stopped and stared. A girl with glowing marks on her arms, hair like silver thread, eyes full of light. One little boy ran up and asked, "Are you a queen?" Alexa smiled. "No," she said gently. "I'm just someone who made it out." They were taken to the medical wing. Jace received treatment for cracked ribs and an old wound in his side. He told jokes to the nurses, tried to pretend it didn't hurt, but when no one was looking, he held his side and winced. Alexa sat by the window, watching ships come and go. Every now and then, her eyes closed, and she listened. To the stars, to something inside her. She was still changing, but she wasn't afraid of it now. Days passed, and one morning, Alexa found Jace outside, repairing the wing of their broken escape pod. She stood quietly. Most people would have scrapped it, she said. Jace grinned. It's got history. You passed out on that bench over there. She stepped closer. You cried once, in your sleep, she said softly. He looked up, surprised. You didn't wake me? No, she replied. I just held your hand. Jace sat on the metal wing and patted the spot beside him. She joined him. The wind was soft. Birds circled above. You saved me, she said. I just got you out of a lab, he answered. No. You did more than that. She looked at her hands. Every part of me was built to be used, measured, controlled. And when it broke, they said I was a failure. Jace nodded. And what do you say now? I say I was never broken. I was just waiting for the right reason to live. They sat in silence. Then she asked him something she'd never dared before. Why did you save me, Jace? You didn't know. You could have died. He looked at the ground, quiet, then said, There was a kid, years ago, another hybrid. We found her in a lab. They told me to leave her, said she wasn't stable. He took a slow breath. I left her. Alexa didn't speak, and I never saw her again. I thought maybe, if I saved you, I'd finally forgive myself. Alexa placed her hand on his. You don't need to carry that anymore. Later that day, a message came from deep space. A signal from a ship called the Dawnspire. On board were dozens of hybrids, rescued from old core facilities now deactivated. The signal played a voice. We are awake. We are free. We are not weapons. Thank you. Jace listened in silence. Alexa closed her eyes. She knew what it meant. Her virus hadn't just shut the core down. It liberated everyone it once held. In the following weeks, Alexa became something she never expected. A guide. She helped others like her, helped them understand their power, helped them remember they were people, not products. And Jace? He became the one who stood at the gate. The one who said, You're safe now. We've got you. One evening as stars lit up the sky, Alexa found him sitting under a tree. He had a small campfire going. 2 cups of tea sat beside him. She raised an eyebrow. You expecting company? He handed her a cup. You showed me what peace looks like, he said. She sat. I didn't think I ever would. The fire cracked softly. Alexa leaned back against the tree. I used to think someone would come rescue me, she said. Jace looked at her. Someone did. She shook her head. No. Not someone who broke the door. Someone who stayed. Who saw me when I was broken and didn't look away. He went quiet. She smiled. And now, I want to be that person for others. Jace looked up at the sky. So what now? Alexa turned to him. We build something better. And they did. Together, they formed the Sanctum, a place for the freeborn, the hybrids, the forgotten, and the feared. Not a city, not a fortress. Oh, one that didn't ask you where you came from, only what kind of future you wanted to create. Years later, when someone asked Jace, what was she really? He answered with a smile. She was the girl they tried to break, but she broke the ones who tried. And when they asked Alexa, who was he to you? She said, the reckless human who didn't just save me. He taught me I was worth saving.